Hello everyone and welcome back once again to my channel. As you just saw, I finally made some sort of an intro for my videos. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while now but never had the energy for until recently. So there you go, now I can start off each video the right way. And if you are wondering what song I used for the intro, you should head over to my good friend DJ Steffi Boy. He's a good friend of mine from school who was so kind to make a song especially for my intro, and I think he did an amazing job. So if you want to check out his work as well, be sure to do so, and don't forget to subscribe to his channel as well. So in today's video we are, as you can see, not back in the Aerosoft CRJ. Instead I've decided to take out the WACO YMF-5 from Carenado, which has only been featured once on the channel, and that was the startup tutorial I made for it, which did get a fair amount of views. It's quite a handy video if you also own this aircraft but have no idea how to get it up and running, so be sure to go check that video out after this one. At the moment we are parked on the ramp at Lake Tahoe Airport, where we will be taking off from, and our destination today is Reno Stead Airport. This airport might sound familiar for some of you, as it is the base for the popular Reno Air Races. The several circuits they use for that race are located all around the airport, and we will probably do a quick circuit in another aircraft once we arrive at Reno. So definitely stay with us till the end of the video for that. One last thing before we jump into the cockpit and start preparing for takeoff, be sure to do a touch and go on that subscribe button along with the bell icon directly beside it so you never miss out on any new content. Also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoy it, and don't hesitate to ask me a question or leave a request down below in the comment section or on Instagram, whatever works for you. I'm more than happy to make time for you guys, so without further ado, let's get on with it. So here we are inside of the cockpit of the WACO YMF-5. Let's first start with checking if everything is set correctly for the aircraft. We don't need any external power, the static elements are gone, and everything else looks good. All of the doors are closed and we don't need that. We can put away the tablet like so. And we'll start preparing the aircraft by first turning on the batteries and avionics. Then down here we'll close those two valves so that the fuel can go to the engines. The mixture can go to full rich. And let's see, as for the light, the navigation light can go on, and also the beacon light. Fuel pump can go on for now. Everything else is set the way it should be. So to start this engine, it's quite easy. You just turn the starter key to the both position and then to start. And there we go. Engine is now started. You can also turn on the transponder, even though we're not going to use it today. So yeah, there we go. Our aircraft is already started because we don't need to do any flight planning for this flight. But I'll show you what we are going to do to get to our destination airport. So here we are at the ramp at South Lake Tahoe Airport. Depending on the wind at this airport, we are going to take off either from runway 36 or 18, but we'll take a look at the weather in just a moment. And once we take off, the plan is to make our way alongside the eastern shore of Lake Tahoe until we get to the northern shore, and from there we are going to fly direct to the Mustang VOR at Reno. But we're not gonna actually fly all the way to it, because somewhere around here we should be able to intercept the ILS for our runway 32 at Reno Stead Airport, so that's what we'll do. Here we have the chart for that, so we are going to tune to 117.9 initially, and then we'll monitor this ILS frequency to intercept the 318 course towards the airport. So that's what we'll do. And that's also everything we need to do as for the flight planning. So we'll tune the Mustang VOR in right now. The frequency will be 117.9, like I just said. And we might not be able to pick it up right now, but once we get in the air, we should be able to pick the signal up. So there we go. That's actually everything we need to do for our departure preparations. This aircraft doesn't have any flaps or anything. And taxi lights on, and the only thing we need to do now is take a look at the weather for this airport. So we are located at Kilo Tango Victor Lima. And according to the METAR report, the barometric pressure here is 30.09, which will sit. And for some reason, the barometric indication on the altitude indicator isn't really working the way it should. Don't know what's up with that, but there are plenty of ways to figure out if you have the right barometric pressure. So the altitude of this particular airport is 6,200 feet, so and now all of a sudden the pressure does work, so don't really know what's up with that. Maybe the pressure that was set was just out of the boundaries of the indicator. That might be what was up with that. So 3009. Somewhere around there should be good. So there we go, now we are ready to go. The only thing that we still need to look at is the wind. So 140 degrees at 11 knots, gusting to 80 knots. So 140, that means that the best runway for takeoff is runway 18, which is to the left of us. So we'll depart in a southerly direction and then make our way back to the north. So that's what we'll do. Parking brake is released. And there we go, the aircraft is now moving. We shouldn't taxi too fast in an aircraft like this, because they do have a tendency to tip over if you brake too hard. And it's quite tricky to see out the cockpit of an aircraft like this as well, so all the more reason to taxi at a slower speed. Here we are at the holding point for runway 18. We'll stop right here for a second. Engage the parking brake, and landing lights can go on, and also the strobe lights, as well as the pitot heat. Everything else is set correctly. Mixture is full rich. Trim is set where it's supposed to be. I've programmed in the frequency for our VOR, but as you can see, the indicator is not picking it up yet, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, we are ready to take off. So like I said, we are going to take off in this direction and then make either a right or a left turn towards the lake, where we will follow the shore towards the north. So there we go, parking brake released again. And we should also check if our flight controls are free and correct, which they are. And no traffic to the right as well. So the wind is quite strong at this airport, so it could happen that we will go off the runway at a certain point, because this aircraft is very tricky to take off sometimes. Need a lot of rudder to keep it on centerline. But yeah, here goes nothing. Slight back pressure on the side stick. There you have it. It's, at a certain point it just really wants to turn to a certain direction. And there's 80 miles per hour almost, so that's our takeoff speed. And there we go, we are in the air. And start trimming out the aircraft for our climb speed. And it seems to me that a left turn is what we want to do in this situation, to avoid those hills there. So we'll start making that left turn now. And the VOR is now picking up a signal, so I assume that's the Reno VOR. Yeah, that's for later, so now we are just going to make our way towards the lake. While maintaining our steady climb, of course. Down there we have the airport that we just took off from. And once you take off with this aircraft, it's actually quite a very nice aircraft to fly. It really hands fly quite nicely. It's just a quite a pain in the ass to take off, if I'm being honest, as you just saw. It's very hard to control on the ground, and I don't know why that is. Normally tail wheels, even though they are a bit more tricky, I don't think it's really that much harder than a normal nose wheel aircraft, but yeah. Maybe it's just the flight model of this particular aircraft that's not really the way it should be. So our cruising altitude, will say that it's 9,000 feet or so. That should be good. Should have more than enough fuel on board. Those things right there, those are our fuel indicators, because this aircraft doesn't have a gauge for that. And I think our fuel tanks are half full at this point, so that should be more than enough to get to our destination safely. So at this point the aircraft is having a little bit of a hard time to climb, so I'll just level off slightly 200 feet under 9,000 feet. And now the aircraft should be accelerating towards our cruise speed. What we can also do is reduce the mixture slightly. That will increase our RPM. And that will also help us with getting to our cruising speeds. So right about there should be good. As you saw just there, we went from somewhere above 1500 RPM to almost 2000, which is quite a change. And now, as you can see, the speed is actually increasing, and we've also made it now to 9000 feet there. So there we go, we are on our way to Reno. Here we are at the northern end of the Lake Tahoe. At this point, we'll make our way direct towards the Mustang VOR. So we'll keep turning the VOR needle until it's right about there. Make sure we don't fly into those mountains, of course. I'll climb a little bit higher, just in case. Getting quite bumpy around these hills, which is obviously normal because of all the air going around them. And right about here should be high enough, hopefully. Does look like it. And once we get past these mountains, hopefully the air will be a little bit more smooth again. As we're getting closer to the city of Reno, this seems like a good time to program in the frequency for the ILS for Reno Stead Airport. We'll put that into the standby radio. And as you can see, we are already picking that frequency up. So we'll set the right course for the runway, which was 318 degrees. Which is somewhere around there. And we'll also set the heading to 318 here as a visual reference for later. Somewhere around there should be good. We're not gonna bother with anything like minimums or something like that, because you can't really set an indicator for that in these aircrafts. And we're probably not even going to use the ILS all that much, since the weather in this region is quite good today. And we'll just fly in visually. while using the ILS as visual guidance. So yeah, we've also passed these mountains now, so as you can see now it's a little bit less bumpy. And now I'm going to switch this frequency up to the ILS as well, in the main nav radio. And I'm going to set the course for runway 32. So there we have the glide slope as well. Any moment now we should be starting our descent. And that must be the international airport of Reno there. And our airport should be around there somewhere. Yeah, this seems like a good time to start our descent to our final altitude of 7,000 feet. That's the altitude at which you should intercept the ILS at this airport. And also start making our way towards the airport of Reno over there, because that's where the Mustang VR is located, which we were originally flying towards. There we go. Now the right course is set for the ILS. For some reason I didn't set the right course. And at this point I'm just making sure that we don't go above the glide slope, as you can see there. We're still below it. And there we go. The ILS is coming, the localizer is coming closer now. So we can start gradually turning towards the final course. And very quickly before we land, I just want to take a look at the METAR for this aircraft as well. So pressure is 3007, I've already said that, and the wind is 330 degrees at 8 knots, so that's almost a perfect headwind. Slightly overshot the localizer there, but that's fine. And there we go, I have a visual with the runway. Still quite a few miles away. And there we go, we are getting closer now. Still above the glide slope, so we'll increase the descent a little bit more. And as soon as we reach that lake over there, we'll start decelerating to our final approach speed. Will be somewhere above 80 miles per hour. So right now we just need to focus on keeping the aircraft on center line and on the glide slope, which it more or less is at the moment. Taxi light can also go on, and everything else is set the way it should be. time to slow down. So make sure we don't get below 18 miles per hour. We got slightly below the glide slope there, so we'll try to intercept it again. Thrust to idle, start the flare. And there we go, we are on the ground. Oh, we don't want to go back in the air, of course. And there we go. We can start braking the aircraft with slight movements of the brakes. And there we go. We have successfully landed at Reno Stead Airport. We'll try to vacate the runway as soon as possible and make our way back to the ramp. Landing light and strobe lights can go back off. And we don't need the pitot heat anymore either. Left onto taxiway Bravo. So that was almost a perfect landing, I thought, until I pulled back on the stick a little bit too hard and made the aircraft go back into the air, which was not what I was trying to do, but yeah. I think overall it was quite a soft landing. Oh, you know what I forgot is I forgot to increase the mixture again, but that's fine. Yeah, as you can see, the scenery for this aircraft is quite nice. You can see a ton of military aircraft and all sorts of general aviation aircraft as well. And if you want to download the scenery for yourself, a link will be in the description below. You can download it for free on the flightsim.2 website. So just search for Reno Stead Airport and you'll probably find it. Yeah, it's quite a nice scenery, and we'll see in a few moments the circuit that is around this airport. You can see the pylons over there, and the finish line is that building over there. But yeah, we'll see that in a moment. For now, we'll just make our way towards the ramp and park this aircraft. Very subtle movements on the brakes there, nothing too harsh. And we'll park somewhere over there with all of the other general aviation aircraft. So how should we go about this? Let's park ourselves right next to that F4 Phantom over there, that should be nice. Somewhere around here, there we go. Parking brake is set. Mixture can go all the way back. You can open up those valves again. Magnetos can go to the off position. Avionics, we don't need those anymore. Neither do we need the taxi light. Also don't need the beacon light and nav light. There we go. Aircraft is now back in a cold and dark position, or conditions, I should say. And now we can really see the nice scenery here for this airport, sorry. Really nice in my opinion. And it seems that those two guys there are working on this beautiful F4 parked next to us. And if you go a little bit up and then zoom in there, you can see where the people would sit if a air race was going on at this airport, which should give you a nice view of the aircraft passing by the finish line here. Yeah, speaking of the race, I'll now show you how it is done. Not really in real life, because I don't know how it's actually done, but we'll just fly a short little circuit here to give you an idea of how the air races are conducted. Oh, and as you can see, there are even moving doors at this airport, so very nice scenery here. Definitely recommend checking it out and maybe downloading it. But yeah, we'll jump right into the next aircraft. Welcome back guys inside the Saitek. As you can see, I've changed over to the Extra 330, which is in my opinion the best stunt aircraft that the sim has. So I'll use this aircraft to fly a little pattern here, or circuit rather. So what we'll do is we'll take off from this runway and then head to the finish line, and from there we'll choose one of the circuits that we have here. We can choose either the pink one, the green one, the yellow one, or the red one. So let me just quickly see which one is the best. So we'll use the yellow one for today, which is not too long but not too short either. So we won't wait around, we'll just go right ahead and take off. There we go. Head over to the left of the runway. Here we have the finish line. So there we have the yellow pile. Those little things there on the ground aim towards the next point of the circuit, so that's what you're supposed to follow. As you can see, we need to go right here for the left circuit. And then out here, another left turn. And there we have the next pylon. And there we go, we are back at the runway we just took off from, and also back at the finish line. So here we are. So that's basically it for the pattern. It's quite easy to do. Don't really need to think much about it. Just follow the directions indicated by the pylons. And I think it's a very fun thing to do if you have some buddies that also play Flight Simulator. But yeah, it would be very nice to do this thing with more people and actually make a race out of it. So maybe one day we'll be able to do that on the channel here. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and don't forget to do a touch and go on that subscribe button as well. Questions or requests are more than welcome in the comment section below, or you can just reach out to me on Instagram. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!